Adit Retaubun is an alumnus of the Faculty of Engineering at Unpati and currently serves as the chairperson of Maluku's Indonesian Tour Guide Association, or we know that HPI Maluku. Additionally, Mr. Adit has been the head of Internal Affairs Division at ABC since 2021. And now Mr. Adit will lead the discussion and introduce our speaker today. Over to you, Mr. Adit.
No voice. Boom. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Adit was here.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, guys. Welcome back for those of you who have joined us before in a previous webinar, and today we have again Dr. Alex Steve. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Taking off my headphone now.
Okay.
Alex, welcome again to our webinar. Thank you for making time for us and with all your information. For those of you who did not join us for the last webinar, I would like to shortly introduce Alex. Dr. Alex Stevens, he has worked in Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade since 2010. Wow. And has worked on trade, investments, and gender issues in Indonesia as well as Japan. Nice. Now, before that, from 2000 to 2010, Alex was a lecturer at Flinders and Adelaide University in South Australia. So, any of you participants of this webinar who would like to go to Flinders and Adelaide University, you can call him to to get some tips and tricks on where to get the nicest mie ayam in Adelaide, or if they have any. Yeah? And he was a lecturer specializing in Japan and the political economy of the Asia Pacific. Very nice, Alex. Alex, are you an alumni of universities in Australia?
Yeah, so I actually did my undergraduate and postgraduate at Flinders as well.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah.
so you went to Flinders University and then you taught there.
That's
you must
right.
have loved the university so much, yeah.
yeah. So it was very good for me. So I was able to transition from undergraduate to postgraduate, so S1 ke S3 langsung.
Okay.
Which was really good for me and to get a better sense of the university as well. So hopefully some of my experience I can share with everybody during this seminar.
Yeah, nice. Now, you mentioned about experience, right? That's as the participants in this webinar are the future international students in Australia.
Yeah, betul.
I can hear amens.
Amen.
But tell us, what is the most interesting thing you wish to share about studying in Australia? Like, not in details. This is just to keep them on the edge of their seats for now. Go.
So, for a lot of Indonesians coming to Australia, the first thing they notice that's very different is that Australia is very different.
Of course. Yeah.
So in Indonesia, there's lots of people around, everybody, it's very crowded. Australia is not like that at all. There's lots of space, too much space. A little bit too
That's
quiet.
good,
A little bit too quiet. Where is everybody? Where
right?
did everybody go?
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things. One of the other things too is the food and culture is very different. And I'll talk about that in some of my responses to the questions
Okay.
that some of the students sent to Ibu
Some
Collins
open
before.
meeting.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, it's that experience. We call it culture shock.
Iya,
So,
itu derapan.
yeah, so there's this sense of, oh, this is very different, and I'm not sure where I fit in. So not only are you having to understand a different language, but you also have to understand and feel comfortable in a different culture where there's different ways of doing things. So I would say those are the two biggest differences between Indonesia and Australia.
There you go, guys. You have that. So that was like the last webinar made in a few sentences. Excellent. So for those of you who did not join us for the last webinar, that was the content of it. You didn't hear the details, but that was good.
Yeah.
Okay, now the way this webinar is going to go is that after this, Pa Alex will do his presentation for about 60 minutes. Pa Alex, will that be enough? Yeah. And then we'll have some 20 minutes of Q's and A's from the participants. And then, yeah, that's it. Well, okay. But before we get that, I am curious, Pa Alex. Could you please tell the participants, tell us that what to look forward to in your presentation? I mean, what do you hope the participants will keep in mind after the webinar?
So I've got a bit of homework for the ABC corner. So a lot of my
I'm writing. I'm taking notes.
a lot of my presentation is going to be me talking, but
Okay.
I will send some links to ABC Corner Unpati to share with participants afterwards.
Okay.
Because a lot of the questions that we received are university dependent. So it depends on which university you go to.
I see.
It's
Okay.
I could tell you each university, and then I could tell you about each of the 43 universities, and then teach you about all of the 10 different faculties at each of the 43 universities. It gets too complicated. So
It
it's going to
would.
be easier if I give you some links and then you go whoosh out into cyberspace, into the internet, and do the research, and then come back with more questions. I think that's more useful for everybody.
I agree. Let's get them to work some, yeah. We have a group of participants for webinar, so that homework could be done quite easily.
Yeah, I think so. And if people are bored with me talking, then they can do the research while I'm talking and have questions for me during the question part. So I'm okay with all of this.
Excellent. Okay, so there you go, folks. Now, without further ado, Pa Alex, please do your presentation.
Fantastic. Can I again express my real thanks to Ibu Collins and the ABC Unpati team for this webinar series, because we were super impressed when we came to visit Unpati earlier this year in April. And we felt that we needed to do more to support Unpati and students who are looking to become part of the Australian family. So my presentation is largely based around answering a series of questions. So after the last seminar, I asked Ibu Collins, so we're going to do another one, right? So the students have questions. Yes, they've got questions. So what are the questions? So these are the questions, and I'm going to answer each question as I go along. So the first question was, what types of, this is about scholarships. What a surprise about scholarships. Beasiswa. Of course. What types of funding and scholarships are available for international students, particularly for Master, S2, and PhD, S3 programs? Okay. So every year for Indonesia, we have something called the Australia Awards. So you do a search for Australia Awards and the website australiaawards.indonesia.org will appear. Now, every year, there is about 150 ke 200 beasiswa dalam beasiswanya. Okay, so now this is for all of Indonesia. Okay, all of Indonesia, not just East Indonesia, for everybody. So you could imagine competition is fierce. Competition is tough. So please don't get disheartened when you apply the first time. It's a because you are competing with people in Jakarta. You are competing with people in Surabaya. You are competing with people in Makassar. Okay, so anyway, that process untuk Award Australia mulai bulan Februari setiap tahun. Okay, so you should be thinking about preparations for that process, because as we had in the initial question, what time does the school year start? Starts in January, February. So in January, February next year, the scholarships for 2026 will start. It takes about 9 months for that process to finish. Applications start in January, finish terakhir April, then interview process, Juni, July, hasil Augustus, September. Then the program continues with additional English testing, offers from universities. Then in Australia, universities go on holiday between December and January. And then the university year starts February, March. That's the process. So for lots of people in Indonesia, that's a very good one. That's a very good scholarship. Now, and this is the complicated part, each university also has scholarships. Each university. So think of all the 43 universities. Each one will have a scholarship program. Now, and this is for international students, so for us, yeah, the ones that we are interested in. Now, very rarely are those ones full scholarships. They're not full scholarships like Australia Award is. With Australia Award, you get the course paid for by Australian government. You get a stipend, you get money that we give you. The Australian government invests in you to do well, to graduate and come back and make Indonesia hebat sekali. That's why we do this. We want Indonesia to be much better than it is now, and it's pretty good already. So these other university scholarships, and you can go to Griffith University, you can go to Flinders University, you can go to University of Western Australia, you can go to Monash University. I could go through every single one. They all have scholarships for international students. But, tetapi, those beasiswa are not full. Usually, not always, but usually they will be scholarships for cutting the price of the scholarship. So you will still pay, but you get a refund of the scholarship money. Now, I'm not going to pretend that university in Australia is cheap. It is not cheap. It is not cheap. Not cheap at all. So obviously, an Australia Award scholarship is much more attractive than these other scholarship awards. However, some universities do have full scholarships. Not all of them, but some of them. Now, all of this information is on their websites. All of it. So this is, I guess, to go to Pak Adit's question as well, what's a big difference between Indonesia and Australia? A big difference is how easy it is to get information. It is very much more easy to get information from websites. Very much more easy. Why? Because Australia is trying to encourage international students to come. So we want to provide as much information to people up front so that they can make their decisions, because Australia is a long, long way away from anywhere else. We're a land of strange animals like kangaroos and koalas and quokkas and a whole range of other things. We're a long way from anywhere else. If people want to come to Australia, they clearly want to come to Australia, which is fine. But yeah, the university websites are very open and easy to access. You can type in the information that you are looking for in terms of, okay, pelatihan apa, degree apa, dosen apa. All of that information is there. So you can go down to, saya mau pelatihan, latih S2 dalam hubungan internasional. Okay, so bidang saya. Okay, so I can do a search for hubungan internasional seluruh Australia. Okay, so ANU, they've got a good program. Griffith, got a good program. Where else? Monash, University of Melbourne, got good programs. Okay. And then you go into those programs and, okay, so who's the lecturer? It's Dr. Blah Blah. Okay. And what are they teaching? This course. And what do they do? 12 weeks, 2 tutorials, a lecture every week, assessment. Okay. 6,000 word essay. Okay. It sounds a bit long. Okay, so you can go down to that level of detail, which here it's rare to find that level of information. It's a lot different. So I think for the majority of the participants here, Australia Awards is probably the best way still. But yeah, it is, it's a big competition. It's a big competition. So it would be lovely if we had more scholarships, but unfortunately that's around about the figure that we have, which is still, I think, the Australian government scholarship program to Indonesia is the biggest in the world that we have. So out of all the countries in the world, I think the one we have with Indonesia is the biggest one. So yeah, it's something that at the Congen we are quite proud of. Okay, so that was the first question. Pertanyaan kedua, okay, how are university programs and curricula structured and what flexibility is there for interdisciplinary studies? Now, again, and this is going to be a common phrase that you'll hear from me, it depends. It depends. What are you studying? So, for example, if you do a Bachelor of Arts, can you combine that with a Bachelor of Hukum, of Law? Yeah, possibly. Depends if the university has a Bachelor of Law. If you're doing an S2, are you going to be mixing and matching? No, you're not. Because usually for an S2, S-TIGA, you have a focus, like a singular focus. And for Australia Awards, we only do beasiswa S2, S-TIGA. Tidak ada beasiswa S1. Okay, so for that sort of program, that's going to be a program that you would be going to as a private student and paying the large amount of money. Yeah? So usually the interdisciplinary thing is an S1 thing. Now, if you are doing S1, and yes, if you are paying it for yourself, sure, it will depend on which university. I know that there was attempts to get Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of IT matched. So you could do a little bit of study about history, but if you wanted to do information technology, internet, hardware technology, you could do that too. So it really depends on what study you want to do. So if you want to do geology, can you mix that with IT? Possibly, depends on the university. So you would need to work out which university you want to go to. And so you would do a search. Now, big news. I printed this out so I can show you. So this is a website that we have for, hang on, where are we? Yeah. This is a website called Study Australia. I'll send a link to the ABC Corner Unpati. But anyway, so there's a new course selection and search courses from around the universities in Australia. This new search tool was released 3 days ago. This is hot news 3 days ago. So I'll send a copy of the link to the ABC Corner, and so they can let you know about this new tool. So essentially you can use this tool for the course that you want to do. If it's S1, like I said, Australian government doesn't fund beasiswa in S1. But if you're kaya, and God only knows, I would wish to be kaya too. If you're kaya, then okay, then you can mix match depending upon whether the university you want to go to allows you to do that. Now, just on how you choose the university, I'm going to lean back and point at my wonderful map of Australia. Darwin, I see, I mean, there we go. There's Ambon up there somewhere. There we go. Ambon up there somewhere. There are universities in Darwin and further down here where you can't really see my hand anymore. It really depends on where you want to go. The closer you are to home, Indonesia, the warmer it is. The further you go south, the colder it is. So if you want some cold weather, by all means, go to Tasmania, go to Melbourne. Go to Melbourne, go to Perth, go to Adelaide, where I'm from. If you want slightly warmer weather, go to Sydney, go to Newcastle, go to Brisbane, go to Gold Coast, go to Townsville. So because the weather is so different across Australia, Australia is huge, you can see. I mean, Indonesia is huge, but Australia is also huge. So that the weather is very different depending where you go. And that can be a big consideration about where you want to study. If you're in Perth over here, see, over down here, that's closer to you in Ambon or Papua or wherever you are than Tasmania is. Tasmania is a long way away. But your course might be there. So you may go, oh, I have to put up with the cold weather. Okay, that's fine. But it really depends on what you value. What are you trying to do with your education? What are you trying to do with your degree? That's the most important one. Okay. Now, that was the second question. Third question. How do universities in Australia collaborate with industry, and what internship opportunities are available for students? Now, just like the previous question, it depends on what you're doing. Now, for Bachelor of Arts, Master of Arts, internships are going to be limited because it's more theoretical. It's more theoretical. However, if you're doing geology, archaeology, technology, okay, then there might be opportunities for internships, opportunities to work in the field. So for some universities, they will have what they call startup labs. Now, startup labs means new businesses where students go to work. In some places, in some universities, they will have that. But in other universities, they won't. How do you find out which universities have that? By searching. By searching. So going to the studyaustralia.gov.au website and doing that research, or going to the universities, each one. What does ANU, the Australian National University, do? What does University of Sydney do? What does RMIT in Melbourne do? What does Curtin University of Technology do? What does Charles Darwin University in Darwin do? Okay. Each one will have their own specialisation. Each one will have a school that is tied into other businesses and may have their own startup labs. I know in my old university, Flinders University, they have a nanotech lab. Okay, so nanotechnology, the technology that's so small you can't see it. So linked to the IT, the hardware in your phones. So that sort of technology. But it really depends on what you're looking to do. So, and I'll repeat this quite a lot of times, it really depends on what you want. The Australian education system is one where we will assume you know what you want. And you'll go, oh, that's not very helpful. So you need to know what the questions are already in your head and then go find answers. So that part of university in Australia is a little bit different from here. There's not so much community here in Australia as there is here. I will come to that later. Okay, so, before I finish, there are some universities, and I found a couple of examples. So, for example, Australian National University, They do have a general internship program. So that's Australian National University. They do have an internship program. But also, back to studyaustralia.gov.au, that website that I showed before, they also have a general internship program. And it's quite easy to find that information on the internet. Okay. Fourth question. What support is given to students, including academic advice, mental health, service, and career counselling? Now, this one, again, depends on the university, and this is another difference from Indonesia. In Australia, the gap between student and lecturer, professor, is less. Here in Indonesia, the lecturers and the professors are up here and the students are down here. The lecturers and professors speak and the students listen. However, in Australia, the gap is like that. The professors and lecturers are here and the students are here. It's a dialogue. It's not a telling all the time. It's asking questions too. Okay, so the difference between the two is different, which means, okay, so we know from experience that sometimes you don't feel comfortable talking with your lecturers and professors because they're up here. It's difficult to talk to them up there. They're too far away. Hello. Okay, so it's difficult. But in Australia, they're down here. Hello, how are you? Oh, not too bad. I want to ask you a question. Sure. It's much easier. So I would give, when I was a lecturer, I would give permission for any of my students to send me emails about anything they wanted to ask about the course that I was teaching. And that is quite common. There is a contact, whether it's an email or a phone number, where students can contact and ask questions like, what do I need to do for this particular topic? It's a much more conversational approach, not listening approach. So it's more of a conversation, and that's a big cultural difference between Australia and Indonesia. So it's very common for students to come and talk to their professor, even the big ones, all the time. In terms of other support services, every university will have support services through an international office, through a student union. Some universities will have their own specific systems. In doing some research for this webinar, I found out that Griffith has a buddy program. So there are fellow students who will help you adjust to life in Australia. So, and that's a process for students for Griffith University. So that looks pretty good in terms of support. And of course, there is also differing levels of other support services. It's really dependent upon the university. So when you're doing the research about the universities you want to go to, you should be thinking, oh, okay, which university is the one that is going to support me the best? What university is going to give me the best support? So yes. What weather is the best one? What support is the best one? Which lecturer, teacher is the best one? Reputation, which one is the best one? Depending on what you want to do, those answers will change. Some universities are better at some things than others. Just because a university is old in Australia doesn't mean
Ada latihan ini. Apa nih?
doesn't mean that
Gladi
that
bersih
university
kayak apa nih? Yudisium.
is the best one.
Iya.
Anyway. And also very importantly, because university English is complicated. There's a reason why we have high English language thresholds. Yeah. Before it was IELTS level 6. I think now it's 6.5. And for some courses, it might be 7. Why? Because without good English, you are going to struggle. And I can tell you from some of the books that I used to read in English, I struggled with English in some of those books. Some of those books have really complicated English that even I struggle to understand properly. So if I'm native English speaker and I'm struggling, I can't imagine what it would be like if you have English as a second language and you're trying to study and you have all the pressure of, I don't understand, this is too complicated. So again, some universities are better at this than others. So it's important also to have conversations with previous scholars, previous scholarship holders, which there are at Unpati and there are across Indonesia. There's more than 200,000 graduates from Australian universities in Indonesia. So ask, which university did you go to? Was it any good? You can ask those questions and hopefully you get a good response. You can also go to the websites, find out that information too. Australian university websites are very open. It's a different experience with university websites here. And there's good and bad things about that as well. Okay. So 3 more questions that I have in front of me. And again, some of my answers will sound similar to what I said before. Okay. How do universities support the integration of international students into the academic and social community? This is a big difference. This is a big difference. So, for Indonesian universities, this is one of their strengths. Once you join the university, you are part of a community. There is a community that is around the university and you go to the university and you're part of that community. Australian universities are very different. Very different. I'm not going to say they don't have a community, but the community that is there is very limited. It's a very limited community. So what you find is that people break up into groups because for a lot of Australian students, they will only go to university for classes and for study at the library maybe, and then they will go somewhere else. They won't hang around the university. They won't eat at the university. They won't do games or do community events at the university. It's not like that. They will do community events outside of the university. Now, you can find communities in universities. Most of them are either country community groups. The most obvious one for Indonesian students is PPIA. So each university in Australia that has an Indonesian student community, they will have a PPIA. There will be and that's a grouping, that's community. Why is that there in Australia? Because Australian universities don't do community like Indonesian university. It doesn't happen like that. Also, because Australia is crazy for sport. There are sports communities, but just keep in mind the sports communities are linked to sports that are played in Australia. So some of them might be Australian football. There might be soccer as well, but there'll be other sports like hockey and cricket and basketball. Those are some of the bigger ones. Yes, there might be table tennis. Yes, there might be badminton, but maybe they're not. They're not. Those sports aren't big sports in Australia. So really, for Indonesian students, it's important to remember this part of the experience in Australia is different. The university will not organise community events. That's not what universities do in Australia. It's very different from Indonesia in that sense. Some universities will do better than others. And again, that's a case for you once you've identified a university that you want to go to see what community events they do. How big is the Indonesian community at that university? Okay, so if you go to Monash in Melbourne, there will be lots of students there. If you go to University of New South Wales in Sydney, there will be lots of Indonesian students there. If you go to University of Tasmania, there will not be many students from Indonesia there. Even though one of the specialties is marine science. So Tasmania, University of Tasmania it has a focus on marine science. But because it's a long way away, the longest way away from Eastern Indonesia in Australia, not so many people from Indonesia go to study there. So if you're okay with that, fine, great. But if you feel that you'll be isolated and you won't have as much fun, if you can't have somebody to say, oh, the sambal here is not very good, is it? No, it's not very good. If you miss that Indonesian conversation, then maybe that place is not for you. But there have been Indonesian students go to University of Tasmania. That's not to say it's a bad university. It's just a different experience. Okay. Technological resources for students. Libraries, laboratories, online learning platforms. Okay, so again, depends on the university, but I think you'll find that each university will have a much more comprehensive online system than in Indonesia. I think the laboratories are better resourced. The libraries have more computers for students who don't have a computer to go to the library and work on the computer. I think they've got more resources across the board for every faculty. The other thing as well is that a lot of the universities, selama zaman COVID, had to put a lot of their courses online. So there is still the capacity for a lot of Australian universities to do teaching online. So lots of lectures are online. Potentially you could do tutorials online. If we need to do lab work still in class, that's still a must. It's very difficult to do that elsewhere. But I think you'll find that, and again, every university will try and promote each one of its resources. So you will go onto a website and you will see, because they will want to show you the IT equipment, the library, the different services they have. That's part of their competition for students, not just for Australians going to those universities, but also people like you who want to go to an Australian university. Okay, final question. Typical career outcomes. Okay, for graduates, and how do universities assist with jobs and career development? Again, depends on the university, depends on the course you are studying, depends on your lecturer, docent, professor, yeah? So it really, that's a question for you. So what is your area of study? Okay, what are you trying to achieve? What job will you have when you come back? What job will you have when you come back? So you've done a master's in Australia, and then you come back to wherever you're from. Is there a demand for the people who have good education? That's a very big question. And it's not an easy one for me to answer. So it really depends on your network, your ability to talk about what you want to do in your life, in your education. Okay? What field do you want to do? So yeah, I think I'll finish there. I think we've still got some time for more questions. So perhaps I finish there and then we can go for some more questions. Adit, where are you, my friend?
I am here, Alex. Yeah, very nice. Guys, that was awesome, right? A lot of informations there, and I would like you to show some appreciation by giving a clap of hand in reactions. Yay, like what I'm doing now. Yay, like that. Please do. These online webinars, right? It changed a lot of things. But it's nice. It's nice. It connects you from far away. I mean, before COVID, usually we have to get you to come here, which I'm sure you would like. I just came from Banda Islands, and it's a recommendation that you should do.
Okay.
You should, yeah. Okay, so Alex, before going to, we have some questions in the comment box, but before
Yes.
going to there, if I can summarize your presentations, it is that universities vary, right? And your choice of which university you want to take, for example, will all depend on many things like your values and your priorities, what you look to do, what kind of support you need, etc. And the most important thing is to research. Make sure you know what you want and you find a university that gives you the most of what you need, right? So, okay.
That's absolutely correct.
That was a check mark. Oh, okay. Now, okay, awesome. Now, we have Anton. We have Owan. He
Yes.
said, "I have a question. I am a nursing student, but did not take nursing profession. The question is, if I want to apply for master degree with scholarship, can I take specific nursing, for example, cancer biology and precision oncology or nursing anesthesia? Because some of my lecturer told me if I wanted to take specific nursing, I have to take nursing profession first, or I can take other like nursing management or public health. In Australia, is it the same with Indonesia? Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So for something like nursing, you would need to, again, have a look at each university website and see what are it's called a prerequisite. So each course for a master's degree, and remember, if you're Kaya, then S1 is fine in Australia, and you pay for it all yourself, and the visas it's all you, and health insurance is all you, and it's all fantastic. But If it's S2, then there are prerequisites. So you'd need to look at the website for the S2 that's being offered in nursing and see what they require. So they may say requires a Bachelor of Nursing or equivalent degree. And the way that you would find out if your degree is good enough is you would send an email to that faculty and say, I have a bachelor's degree in blah with a grade point average of blah, and I want to do a master's degree. Can I? It's the Australian system is very much decentralized. It's very decentralized, and it depends on each university and faculty. So you would need to go and have a look. So I have no doubt that there will be some faculties that have a specialty in cancer biology and oncology, and you will go there and they will be able to tell you, because they don't want you, and you don't want you, to waste your time trying to do something if you're not capable of doing it. It wastes their time and wastes your time too, because you will fail, and nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to succeed 100% of the time. So I think that's the key thing, is working out whether your S1 is part of the prerequisite for that particular course. And the only way to find that out is by asking the faculty that you want to join. And that's something that hopefully I've made clear when I did the whole professor here, student here thing. Okay, you can have that conversation. It's not a, I feel scared talking to the professor up here and the students down here somewhere. It's that the Australian system is not like that. I could talk to the head of school whenever I wanted as an S1. As long as I had a smart question, that was fine. Dumb question, maybe you look at you and go, that's a dumb question. Go ask them. Okay, but if it's a good question, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Moving on.
All right. So again, research, yeah.
Yeah.
That's also a good thing, that you can talk to anyone. Like in Indonesia, we think we have high regards of them, that we can say hesitant to talk to them, right? But in Australia,
not comfortable.
not comfortable at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
sangat tinggi dan saya di sini. Susah untuk saya.
Yeah. So guys, use this cultural differences to your advantage, right?
Yeah.
Go talk to people, look for some information. Now, there's another question which is being answered by a fellow participant, but I'm wondering if you have anything to add, right? So the question is from Anton Sama. Firstly, he thanks you for a great explanation. And his question is, are there some universities in Australia that have anthropology education? Which university have this major for master degree? Thank you. And Owen, a fellow participant in this webinar, Mr. Anton, you can search on Google for major, use the key like ranking anthropology in Aussie. Do you have anything to add to that, or that hits the spot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very true. You can just do a Google search or a Bing search or whatever search you want for Anthropology Australian University, or again, this one, studyaustralia.gov.au. So the course search tool. So I will send this link to the ABC Corner after this, and type that into the search tool. Anthropology, masters.
Awesome.
That's going to be the easiest way for that to work. And if if you're not happy with the results there, use Google. Anthropology, Australia, anthropology, Sydney, anthropology, Melbourne, anthropology, Brisbane, anthropology, Adelaide, Perth, Hobart, Darwin, wherever.
Yeah. There we go. Mr. Anton, I hope that answers your question, yeah? Guys, studyaustralia.gov.au, right, Alex?
Studyaustralia.gov.au.
Go there. It's like a Google for Australian education, but it's more
Sure.
focused and everything. With Google, you can search for a lot of. It will show you results from a lot of resources. But with Study Australia, that's the proper sources.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if it's no good, let me know, because the new tool is new, so
Of
it
course.
may not work that well.
It came
By
out
all
3
means.
days ago, guys. So
That's 3 days ago. So
3
it's a
days
new
ago.
tool. If it doesn't work well, tell us, and then we'll try and
Yes.
fix it.
And you can pat your back on contributing for the improvement of this tool, right? There you go.
I love that. Unpati and Eastern Indonesia improves the tool. Well done.
Okay, but Alex, here's
Yes.
Rian Tutuarima. His question is, if I would like to apply for a student visa regarding medical checkup, do you have a certain standards about it? Like, do I have to go do it in Makassar when I apply for visa?
Okay, so you do need to do a medical checkup. And the reason why you need to do a medical checkup is because for some issues that are common in Indonesia, I will choose one because I'm familiar with one, because I had an issue with this in another posting that I had. One of the big issues is a disease called tuberculosis. Okay, so tuberculosis is one of those diseases that Australia doesn't have a lot of, but Indonesia does. I'm sad to say, but so one of the things that they do is they will do a tuberculosis test, and one of the tests is to have a look at your lungs. So an X-ray or a CRT. So you need to go to a medical facility that enables you to take a picture of, is there anything in your lungs? Okay, so yes, there is a requirement. Do you need to come to Makassar? I don't know. You would need to check the visa conditions. Okay, so the way to do that is not by asking me, because it's not my job to do visas. It's to go through the visa process. Now, it's all online these days. It's all online. And you need to sign up to an IMI account. Perhaps I can share that information to ABC Corner, and you can have a look at that visa process. Certainly for scholarship, the Australia Award Scholarship, you do have to do a health check as part of that. Primarily speaking, because Australia Award Scholarships will cover you for problems you have with your health while you are in Australia. However, if you have a health problem that started here and you bring it to Australia, you will pay full price. So everything in Australia is expensive. Everything. So that is something to consider. If you have a health problem that you are looking to fix up, Australia is not the place to do it, because if it starts before you arrive, the Australian government will go, oh, that's an old one. You're paying for that one, not us. So the Australia Award Scholarship will pay for like if you break your leg in Australia, then the insurance will cover it. If you fall off your bike and have to go to hospital, the Australian government will pay for it. I know a lot of Indonesian students do this. Indonesian students get pregnant in Australia. The Australian government will pay for that. For the baby, for the baby to be born, and all of that. It's a common thing. Lots of Indonesian PhD students start off with no children and end up with 3 children, 1 for each year. That is quite common. That is quite common. I have seen it.
But Alex, you should not be telling this because it's getting
I know.
us ideas.
I know. I'm not suggesting it's a good idea because it is very difficult to study in a different place, in a different language, and everything in Australia
having a baby.
is much more expensive than here. Pembantu is very difficult to get in Australia. It's not like you can bring your Pembantu because they need a visa. You don't have your family with you. Family visas are difficult. If family wants to come, they have to have health checks and their health needs to be checked. It's very complicated. But for some people,
it happens anyway.
It's like, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, well, okay.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, for Alex. There we go. If I may share, I'm also involved with youth who are doing the international youth exchange with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, right? And one of the cooperation they do is with Australian government in the Australia-Indonesia Youth Exchange Program, right? And I noticed that they did the medical checkup, a full medical checkup in Ambon, and the results are accepted. So for Rian's question, maybe you can do that. But again, this is a different program, right? Australia-Indonesia Youth Exchange Program is only for 2 months in Australia. With Australia Awards, they may have different requirements. But again, the key is research it. Right?
Do your research.
Okay. Last question, it seems, Pa Alex.
Okay.
From Yanti Atenoye. From Papua. Hello, Kakak Yanti. Kakak Yanti question is, are there any campuses that conduct any program to make so that the students could graduate earlier? I want to know that too.
Yeah, well, usually for an S2 and STIGA, that's not really possible. And one of the things with the scholarship is particularly for research, right? So you've got difference between masters by coursework and masters by research. The coursework one requires you to do the courses. So it may say you need to do 72 units of courses over 2 years. Okay. You can't do more than 48 units in 1 year. So you kind of have to do 2 years. For research, most of the time, masters by research or PhD by research, you need to do a thesis. My STIGA thesis is 108,000 words long. If you can do that in a year, whew, okay, fine, great.
Genius.
Sure, okay. But the issue is, as soon as you've submitted your thesis, your visa ends. So if you submit early, you leave early.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, I've finished after a year and now I've got 12 months to do what I want. No, it's not like that at all. You submit your thesis and then the university says, you have 3 weeks to pack up and go. Bye-bye. Which you'll probably go, oh, that's not, no. So usually speaking, yeah, it's the for the research, it's tied to the submission of the thesis.
Okay, so it's probably possible, yeah, for Alex, yeah, to have an early graduation, for example. But
It's possible,
Uh,
but why?
yeah, why? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure people have their reasons. But all
I'm homesick. I'm homesick and I want to go home.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But guys, remember, while you're staying in Australia, it's not just the study that you can do there too, right? You gain experience, you make friends and everything. So
That's right.
why not use the time that you have there to as the best as possible, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so okay, so well, it seems that we are running out of questions. We have run out of questions, actually. No more questions here. So, Alex, before your session ends, do you have a final remarks? Again, something for that you want to be stuck in our mind.
Yeah, so I mean, I just like to wish everybody well. I understand that the semester has just started for a lot of you, started in the past couple of weeks. So good luck with your work this semester. I hope your study goes well. Just keep in mind that Australia Award scholarships will open up again in February, and then we'll close up again at the end of April next year. And that's usually what happens. So just keep in mind that process will start in February. So by all means, enjoy your time now and try and get the best grades that you can, because the higher the GPA you have from whichever university you're in at the moment, and the better your English language skills are, the better it will be. And the more research that you do about where in Australia you would like to go, all of that will go into making your application at the end much better. And of course, from an Australian congen perspective, we want as many students from Eastern Indonesia to be successful, because if you're successful, that makes us look good too. So hopefully today has been useful in your learning journey. And if you have more questions, then by all means, come back to ABC Corner and let them know, and maybe we can do another webinar.
Hey, that's an idea. Another webinar will
That's
be
an
great.
idea.
That's an idea. But Alex, thank you very much. It's always nice to have you here, virtually
pleasure.
or physically, and we look forward to more sessions with you. Yeah, I hope you will not be bored of us. Okay, so guys, I'm handing this session back to our MC, Madam MC.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kadi. Sorry, Mr. Adit. As we came to the end of this insightful session, I want like to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to Dr. Alex. Thank you so much for sharing your vast knowledge on the Australian education system with us. Your expertise has provided us with a clearer understanding of the various educational pathways and opportunities available in Australia. We truly appreciate the time and effort you've put into preparing this presentation, and we're confident that everyone here has gained a valuable insight. I would also like to extend our sincere thanks to our moderator, Mr. Adit, for guiding today's event so smoothly. Your skillful moderation ensure that everything runs seamlessly, allowing us to focus fully on the valuable content. Last but not least, thank you to all of you who joined us today. Your engagement and your question made this webinar even more enriching. We hope you found this session both informative and inspiring. And with that, we conclude today's webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone. See you at the next event and stay motivated. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so
Bye,
much, sir.
Mr. Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Guys.
Alex.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you-
much,
thank you so
Alex.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
I think we should have
Thank
a
you.
take a picture.
Thank you, everyone.
Alex yang ada.
Thank you, Pak Alex.